Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dave here with Go Gamers, and today we got a PlayStation 5 game console that's sitting on a repair bench that is not turning on at all. So let's go over to the upper cam and see exactly what we got going on today. All right, guys, so as you can see, we have a PS5. I took it this far down, but haven't done any other diagnostic techniques because I at least want it down this far to try to figure out exactly what's going on when we're having power issues with a motherboard, especially if we're going to put power to it or if we're going to put our multimeter on components on the motherboard. We want to at least have it down to right here so we can be able to see exactly what's going on with this motherboard. So what I'm going to try to do is try to press the power button and turn it on. As you can see, I don't get beeps from either button, right? I'm going to unplug that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my multimeter. I'm going to put it in continuity mode, so just regular diode mode. And what we're going to do now is see if there is continuity between these 2 points. If there's continuity, which looks like there is, you guys can see it sounded off right here. So looks like it may be continuity. Let me double check. So that's ground. Okay, so on this side, does it look like I'm getting anything? All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to test the voltage coming from the power supply. So I got the power cord hooked in. I'm going to test the voltage. We're supposed to be getting the 12 volts. And I am not getting 12 volts. As you can see on the screen on the multimeter, that shows me, obviously I can't get any power as well. That shows me that we have a broken power supply, and you can see we're getting 176 point, well, it's just going down. We're getting 175 M right now. So let's try something. I'm going to unplug the power cord. I'm going to take my power supply. I'm going to put it on exactly 12 volts. All right, so I'm going to put black probe on ground. Let me get my mic moved out the way. And now I'm going to put red probe on the positive side. Let me make sure we set the correct voltage on here. All right, so we got exactly 12 volts. I'm going to put it right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to power it on just like so. And you can see now we have power. And it turns off because we need the actual power supply in order to be able to get it to work. So that is the easiest way for me to diagnose if it is a power supply issue. Obviously, we're not getting 12 volts. I was able to power it up with my independent power supply just temporarily, which that is typically what it does. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thing apart, and we're going to remove that power supply unit that's currently in there. And I'm going to replace it with a donor power supply that I actually have right next to me. And we're going to see what we get when we get that put in. All right, so we just pulled the power supply out. And let me set this aside. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our 2-prong power cable and we're going to plug it back into the power supply like this. And now let's see what we get with the voltage this way. So let me put that multimeter right here actually so you guys can see it. And you see power supply is not working whatsoever. Let's set that aside. Picked up my other power supply unit. Let's power this one on. And now Let's take our probes. Let's put it on there. And look what we're getting. 12.07 volts. So we are getting the correct voltage from this PSU. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this back. We'll place the new power supply into the chassis. And also, if you guys are doing this at home, always make sure you try to be very careful with working around the liquid metal, because that stuff moves very, very easy. All right, so there we go. So we got that put back in there. I'm going to put the bottom chassis plate on top of the PSU and the heatsink. And now we're going to, after I put these screws back in here, I'm going to put the motherboard in here and test it out to see if we now have a working PlayStation 5. Alright guys, so as you can see, we got it back to where we started off at the beginning of this video. I have the power cord plugged in. I'm going to turn my multimeter onto voltage mode. I'm going to see what we are getting. I'm going to move the voltmeter right there so you guys can have a more clearer view of what I'm pulling in. So as you guys can see, we are pulling in 12.07 volts. That means theoretically this should now work. So let's plug in the HDMI cord and let's get this thing powered on. Now you see we have a blue light. It is now blinking and it is now white. That lets me know that it is fully on. Let's make sure it can go to the main screen. So I'm going to wait for this thing to fully boot up, go to the main screen, and see what we get there. All right, so I got a controller connected just to make sure we can go to the home screen. And as you can see, we do go to the home screen. And everything looks good. That's a pretty funny username, but everything seems to be working well. And yeah, we're at the main home screen on the PlayStation game console. Let's turn back over to the PlayStation. I'm going to hold the power button like so. I'm going to allow this thing to power down and boom, there it is. So that was a more of an easier repair on the PlayStation 5s. Typically, we got to do a lot of motherboard work, but this one was just much simpler where we just had to replace that power supply unit inside of the game console. If this video did help you guys out, please make sure you're going ahead and leave a like. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to me or reach out to us on our forums at gogamers.com/forum. Also, if you do want to get your game console sent in for repair, or if you want to bring it into any of our store locations, you can bring it in. I'll check it out, see exactly what's going on with it. But besides that, if you guys can, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. See ya.